As you can see, it's a blue box and it's in the familiar box style of Conrad. So this is a model which does not come in company branding colours. And if we go to one end, we see a label. It is a Meiller high-sided tipper, and it's on an MAN TGS NN 4-axle chassis. It is model number 81259. And if we go to the bottom of the box, we see this model is made in Germany.
Let's weigh it up.
Onto the weighbridge it goes, and the box weighs about 1 pound 5 ounces, which is nearly 600 grams. With that done, it's time to move on, open the box, and see what's inside. This is a typical Conrad box style because inside we have some cardboard with some foam backing, and that protects the model. If we unwrap it, we can then see the truck, and also included is a bag containing some parts that have to be fitted. As usual for a Conrad truck model, the mirrors and aerials have to be fitted to the truck, and some of these parts come still attached to the moulding sprue. So the first thing to do is to get some finger exercise and carefully detach the parts that fit onto the model. And here we're starting with the mirrors on each side of the cab. We also have some aerials to fit to the roof, and these also have to be carefully broken off. So now we've got the parts, we can do the assembly, and we'll start by fitting one of the door mirrors. The good news is that these are quite a tight fit in the holes that are already formed on the model. So as long as you line up the mirrors correctly with the holes, then they'll press into place and they will stay where you've put them. There are a couple more mirrors to fit, and these are unsilvered parts, and the first goes over the passenger side door. The second small mirror attaches to the end of one of the door mirrors that we've already attached. And after that we just have 2 roof aerials to carefully press in.
Let's weigh it up again.
So this is the completed model, and it comes in at 1 pound 2 ounces, and that's just over 500 gramlets. We start underneath, and you can see some engine detail at the front, with the steering mechanism modelled purely for functionality rather than detail. There are a number of tanks and boxes on the chassis, and the drive shaft runs through to the differentials on the rear axles. The tyres are similar, with larger ones mounted at the front. Moving to the cab, and it has a roof light, but it's not see-through, and there are 2 big beacon lights. You can see the aerials that we fitted earlier, and there's a big visor over the windscreen. There are modelled windscreen wipers, and below that there is the distinctive MAN logo and badge, and the headlights are formed on each side. There's no number plate because this is a generic model. Looking at the cab door, it's got the MAN type number on it, and the steps up to the cab are nice because they have some texturing. As you can see, the truck sits high on the axles, and the wheels have got a smart trim. And the rear wheels are also nicely detailed. Looking at the back, detailing is much simpler, with the rear light arrays just being painted. Again, this model doesn't have number plates. The big Meiller tipper body has a good structure, and there are Meiller graphics on the sides. And looking at the big tailgate, there's a Meiller logo graphic. The hinges are discreet, as are the clips at the bottom of the tailgate. At the front, the tipper body has got a multi-stage hydraulic ram, and there's also a spare wheel. And on one side, the access ladder is modelled. With the tipper body raised, you can see the top of the chassis detailing. Here you can see the multi-stage piston fully extended, and the underside of the tipper body is also modelled well. Starting at the back, it's nice to see that the rear wheels spin independently and they are not fixed to the same axles. You can also see that there is some float on the rear axles that represents suspension. At the front, the steering axles are linked, and the range of movement is very good, so some interesting poses are possible. Out onto the Cranes etc. Autobahn, and the truck rolls reasonably well, with just a little bit of downward pressure needing to keep all axles grounded. The steering can be set to a very good angle, so the model will traverse along a decent curve. As mentioned before, there is some representation of suspension on the rear axles, and there's also slight oscillation possible on the front axle. But the main action on this model is the tipper body, and it opens smoothly and is able to hold any intermediate pose. Let's spin the model around and take a look at the back. The tailgate is clipped, so if we free that, then the tailgate opens, although it's not free swinging. Lowering the body is equally smooth, and the tailgate has a distinct clip. This is a typical Conrad model. It's robustly made, and good attention has been made to the functional parts of the model. It is fairly plain looking in the white colour scheme, and the overall decoration is simple. This model does pose well with other models, and it would also be an attractive model in a company colour scheme. Overall, there's enough for it to be rated as very good.